Welcome, everyone, to Tea Time. It is my favorite tea time of the week, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. We are here to go over the PGA Tournament. We are in playoff mode. And, of course, joining me every week, my fellow experts, Dave Cokin, Nick Borrman. Just a completely weird tournament. I can't think of anything that compares to it. It wasn't great for watching purposes. It wasn't great for betting purposes. It was just a whole lot of blah. So, Dave Cokin, I'll start with you. You have said that you hate when tournaments get to 20 under. So, congratulations. We did not have a winner that was 20 under. He was 30 under. So, Dave, I'm assuming this was not a great tournament for you for watching purposes.
It wasn't a great tournament for me for any purposes because I took three guys. I played 3 guys, and none of them made the cut.
Oh.
So I basically, look, I've had a run where I've been in serious contention on Sunday for a whole bunch of weeks in a row, and had the one nice win with Morikawa, and then the stupid non-play of Morikawa at the PGA, which is still the biggest mistake I've made in any sport this year. So I guess I was due for a 4, and I got one. And that's all I have to say about that.
Nick, go ahead. What did you think about the tournament, man?
Well, I hated it. Not only was it I didn't even watch on Sunday, which, I mean, the tournament was over. What are you going to watch for? I did awful. Anybody that purchased my package last week, I had Wager Talk, the customer service, reach out for a credit so you can get this week's package to try to make up for it. So it was an awful week. On top of that, my wife went to emergency surgery last week. So last week, golf got put back on the afterburner. She's okay though now. So it was just an awful week altogether. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem. I made the colossal mistake of backing Jason Day. I made the colossal mistake of thinking Tony Finau could figure out how to putt in the playoffs. It was really blah. But I do think there are some things that possibly we could learn from it, because I like going back and saying, hey, we lost bets. Why did we lose bets? 30 under and 10 other guys were 15 under or better. Nick, is there any takeaways from it? Is DJ in one of these zones? This is first and second. Before this, he was miscut, withdraw. Is DJ starting to get into one of those grooves? What do you think?
It's possible. He is a very ebb and flow player, and when he gets hot, he stays hot for quite a while. And he's got 2 wins and a second in his last 6 starts. So that's nothing to shy home about. And yeah, I mean, you think of DJ as a length guy, which is true, but he's doing just as well, just as much damage on the par 4s right now too, hitting him close to making a lot of birdies. So, with that in mind, he's a hard guy to not expect to be up there. Of course, the betting markets are, 8-1 for an outright is very, very low as the favorite this week, but it's hard to argue that he's not, he shouldn't be priced around that number. He just looks very, very scary. And we've talked about him before. You have, especially, when he gets off to a slow start, he kind of seems to wrap it up early, right? And kind of loses focus. And
here's my towel I'm going to throw in. That's
yeah, exactly. And he's gone before the weekend. This weekend, he's guaranteed 4 rounds. So maybe that's even more scary if he does have a couple bad holes or one bad round. Maybe he can't throw in the towel and he just keeps going. So I don't know. I expect him to be good. He's probably going to be right there this week, possibly right there for the Tour Championship. It's hard to see otherwise, but I don't see me betting on him right now because I think there's just, something's going to have to give as far as the price goes for me to want to back an 8-1 and outright.
All right, Dave,
I just won't do it.
Dave, go ahead.
I won't play an 8-1.
Yeah,
that's just so hard, isn't it? It's crazy.
Well, it's easy It's easy not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: if you're playing an 8-1, you can't play anybody else, because then your return gets so low that it's just not worth it.
Correct.
So I left him off. If he plays like he did last week, well, then I guess I lose. Hopefully he'll have a little bit of a bounce. Even the best players bounce, and he was so amazing last week. I've got to think that he'll cool off a little bit this week.
Yeah. Get your questions in on YouTube. Michael accidentally posted an NFL question. I'm sure we can get to that. Matthew says FanDuel offering Patrick Reed versus Patrick Cantlay. The battle of the Patricks. Any reason to not bet Reed? Cantlay needs a good result. Just doesn't feel like there's going to be one in recent form. And Jordan, thoughts on laying minus 175 on Rahm over Noren and Hovland as top continental European. So let's just jump right into the bets. Nick, what do you think? Minus 175 on Rahm over Noren and Hovland as top continental European. What do you think, Nick?
He played very well last week. He ended up where? He ended up in the top 5. Minus 175, I don't really want to lay on him. If I'm going to bet anybody in that group, it's probably Hovland. I think he's been a very good, consistent young player. He's got a lot of potential upside. He played well last week as well. He faded a little bit on Sunday. But I'm probably not going to back him. I'm not going to say he's not going to win. I just minus 175. I don't see a lot of value in taking him over 2 other guys at that price. So if anybody, I'd go with Hovland there just because I think there's more value on his side. But I think Rahm's going to be there. I think he's going to play well this week, and he's the guy that's probably going to be there right for the Tour Championship as well.
I agree. Minus 175, not great value. Dave, John Howard asked about Harris English. He had Harris to win last week, came so close. Seems like he's playing so well the last few. Maybe this is a guy to keep a close eye on. Plus 3,500 to win this week. Dave, what do you like about Harris English this week?
No, I think he'll have a good tournament, but it's really difficult when a guy plays and he didn't win. You shoot minus 20 and you don't win. Boy, it is really tough. And you get blown out. You get blown out. I mean, he loses by 10 strokes. I have look, the way I do this, and this is just my philosophy, I prefer guys who are really good players off bad tournaments because they just don't generally string together bad tournaments. So you look at guys who missed the cut last week. DeChambeau missed the cut. Morikawa missed the cut. Jason Day, Cantlay, Finau as well. Maybe not to win, but Finau to be somewhere in the mix. Good players, top 20 guys don't miss cuts 2 weeks in a row, and they usually come roaring back. That's part of the reason they're top 20 guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And then another quick question from Jonathan. Bryson won on this course in 2015. Does that give him an edge on the field? This is a tricky question with the new Bryson. Dave, what do you think?
No. First of all, it's 5 years ago. So, Clayton Kershaw might have been the best left-hander I've ever seen 5 years ago, and he's not anymore, okay? So things change. The course might not play the same. He's not the same, clearly. I mean, I'm not saying anything against him. I think he's going to be very much in the mix this week. But no, I don't. That's ancient history. I barely look back 1 year because form changes so much, let alone 5 years.
I'm with you on that, Dave. I think a lot of times people take course history. Me personally, I like momentum and recent form a lot more than I do course form. I know it's important, but I like your point that, it's okay to look back a year or so, but going back 3 or 4 years, what does it tell you really?
Well, and here's the thing. If it's just one course appearance, then it's not really course form. If you've got a guy, I forget the tournament a few weeks ago, Simpson, he didn't win, but he finished like 3rd or 4th. It was 2 weeks ago. And it was on a course where he is always, every year he plays there, he's in contention. That's course form you pay attention to.
Yeah.
But a 1 year, if you look down and it doesn't exist this week, obviously, so I don't have anything to refer to. But in most tournaments that are played on the same course, you'll see completely varying results for guys where they finished top 10 1 year, missed the cut the previous year, finished 18th the year before that, finished 60th the year before that. That's just the way it is. It's way more on present form than past form.
Yeah. So, Nick, we've kind of gotten this little flow where we go to you to talk about the course this week. Much different than Boston. So we're up in Chicago this week. We've got a couple of 600-yard par fives. So none of these 525-yard par fives. What can you tell us about the course that Chicago is going to bring us this week?
All right. Well, this Olympia Fields is like we talked about the 2015 amateur. Other than that, it hosted a U.S. Open back in 2003. So the point being that this course, if it's hosted a U.S. Open, can play difficult. And this week they're expecting the rough at 4 inches, which is ridiculous. Normally you're talking about 2.5 inches. The other thing to note here that I'm looking at, I think this week a lot, is the fact it's a par 70. You only have 2 par 5s, which you mentioned are both over 600. So that alone, there's still scoring opportunities because you're most likely hitting a short wedge in with your third shot. Not a lot of guys are going to get the home in 2, and most probably are going to play for the position of that third shot as opposed to trying to, squeak 300-yard shots out of the hole. So what I think is important this week is iron play and par 4 scoring. There are certain guys that are ahead of the field in par 4 scoring this year. And I think, at least, listen, we all have different thoughts and ideas on how to attack a course any particular week as far as betting goes. And that's what I'm looking at. One guy, which kind of sucks for me, that I loved coming into this one, and he's the number 1 scorer on par 4s this year, is Webb Simpson, but he withdrew today. Yeah. So now I'm like, he was honestly going to be my number 1 bet as far as outright goes and anything else. He's 63 under par cumulative score this year on par 4s, which is Bryson is the same number. JT's at 43, and then you got a few guys in the 40s. And the top, after you get out of the top 10, you're talking about half of that. You're at 30 under par or less. I mean, they're a big jump, these top guys in par 4 scoring. So what's unique about those guys is it's their irons. They play very, very well in proximity to the green, to the flag, and then they hit a lot of greens. So I think that's going to be important this week, more so than distance. This is a long course for a par 70, but a lot of the yardage is coming on those 2 par 5s. One of the par 3s is 250 yards. So the par 4s are long, but nothing out of the ordinary for the guys. So I'm looking at par 4 scoring this week, and unfortunately, the number 1 par 4 scorer just withdrew. So Bryson is the next guy that is in that category, which I would have thought, honestly was surprised. I would have thought he was a guy that was, tops in par 5s with his lengths, but he's actually tied with Webb for the number 1 scorer par 4s on tour this year.
One other thing here, by the way, what's the nickname Chicago has?
Windy City.
Watch out for that. I mean, that could be a factor this weekend. There was basically nothing happening. There wasn't even a rustle in Boston last weekend. There'll be some this weekend in Chicago, so that can affect some of the play. And it oftentimes it's more windy in the afternoon, or windier in the afternoon than in the morning. So tee times could also be of some interest here.
Yeah. Couple of questions here in the room. G. Renz, thanks for joining us, man. Ball striking is important. Adam Scott at 45-1 seems too good to be true. No?
Why?
G, let me take this real quick, and I'll throw it to Dave real quick. Me and my gambling friends call Adam Scott Mr. Softy. I just don't trust that guy.
There's just nothing to suggest that he's at this level.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, thank you.
I mean, where is it? He's still a good player, and you might be. I'm not going to say you're not getting some value at 45-1, but what's the right price? 35. So, I mean, if you're just going in odds to relation to where they are to what they are, or where they should be to what they are, I can make a case for Adam Scott, but. He's only played 2 tournaments since they want things back up. He doesn't have a top 20. He's going to have to show some dramatic improvement to be a serious contender in this event.
And his first event back, he bombed a lot of putts. Like, that score was a little bit deceiving about how good his driving and his iron score.
He still only finished 22nd.
Exactly. With that. G. Renz brings up Morikawa. Nick, 25-1. Morikawa coming off.
That's a very good price, by the way. So 25 is 20. That's the best price I've seen on him.
The issue with Morikawa on that price is he was 26-1 last night. I made a lot of notes. I was like, dang, he's 17-1 right now with DraftKings. He dropped big time.
Yeah. And well, look, we'll just throw this in. He's a perfect 100% off a missed cut.
Yep.
He's missed one cut and he won the next event. So
yeah.
One thing I looked up on Morikawa, I'm going back to my, I'm looking at par 4 scoring, right? And again, I could be dead wrong this week, but Morikawa, we always talk about him on iron play, and I was like, he's probably going to be up there. He's only number 48 on tour in par 4 scoring. He's 10 under par in all his rounds this year, compared to, like I said, those other guys at 60 under par. It was surprising. He's been eating up par 5s. Is actually what he's been doing most of his damage. So I don't know if that hurts him this week. And again, now the price has dropped, basically 10 to 1 on his number. So a little bit of a loss in the value on him. I did like him though, even with those stats at 26-1. At 17-1, I'm probably not going to be on him this week, just because I don't think he doesn't have the par 5s to eat up. And again, I was surprised that he wasn't as low on the par 4 scoring. I thought that's where he'd be doing. But he'll probably have a good week. Bounce back is a big thing, Dave. You're 100% on the money with that, and I do like him to play well. I'm just probably not going to have him on my card.
Yeah, I got to say, I worry about Hovland, Morikawa, and Wolf on courses like this. I think these guys are the part of the younger, they are the younger generation of golfers, and they just go for all the par 5s. If there's a par 5 that's gettable in 2, they're going for it, even if it's out of the rough. They think I'm gonna slam it up there, and if I'm in the bunker or if I'm in the rough, I'm gonna chip it up there and get it in there. And I think this course is tougher for them. I think they'll figure it out as their career goes on, but I'm staying away from Hovland. I'm staying away from Wolf, and I'm staying from Morikawa for those reasons. I think they really, really love the courses that they can tear apart on the longer ones. I think this one's going to be a little bit different. I think it sets up for the veterans. So, all right. Paul Casey, 55-1 seems high. From Jonathan, I think that's low on Paul Casey myself. Paul Casey's coming up a 49th and a 31st. I know he had the amazing second place finish, but before that he had 2 missed cuts in the 67th. I want nothing to do with Paul Casey. And yeah, Nick, Webb Simpson, one of my favorite bets was Webb Simpson over Rory McIlroy this week. Locked it in, and then it got taken away. All right, let's turn our attention to the betting markets. Let's talk about some of the favorites. We got to narrow down field. Obviously, DJ for good reason is the top billing. Dave, you said 8-1 is ridiculous. Can't lay that. So we're looking at Johnson, Rahm, Justin Thomas, DeChambeau. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why Rory is in the top 5.
Well, he's still Rory.
He's Rory.
He can't putt or hit a green or hit a wedge. I don't get it with this guy.
It was an easy cross-off for me. I mean, he's not. No, I'm not saying it to be funny. He doesn't even have a top, 7 straight tournaments? He doesn't even have top 10.
Yeah.
So to me, 16-1 or thereabouts on a guy who's showing no current form is just not a sharp bet.
Yeah. I can't believe that he's below, Webb withdrew, but I'll take Xander, Berger, Morikawa, even Day off of the horrible miscut. Would you take Scheffler over Rory McIlroy right now, Nick? I think I would.
Yeah,
I wouldn't this week.
I would say maybe not this week, but on a typical basis, I would say, yeah, he's probably getting good value. You'd think he's plus money, and he's been playing very well lately, and Rory hasn't. So if you just go off of that, he's worth a few bucks on beating Rory. He's probably not. I don't think he's paired up against Rory, is he? I actually didn't look at the head-to-head yet.
No. I don't know. I'd say this: Scheffler's obviously playing really good golf.
Yeah,
back-to-back top 5s, but now the expectations are there in the price.
True,
because he's in that 35-1 range this week, which isn't terrible, but I think now where there may have been some value with Scheffler, I think now you're getting at best true odds on him.
Yeah, there's no value in these guys, is there? Anything with 20-1 or less? Is there, Nick?
Well, the argument to be made on that. Normally, we all agree that that's usually not. But this week you're half the field, right? So the odds
Great
have,
point. Great
they
point.
have
Yeah,
to be
you're
low
right.
on everybody. And actually, the one thing I noticed is everybody in this range drops from 15 to 13, Morikawa from 26 to 17 after Simpson withdrew, because that's just one big name more that's out of the mix. So
Who just withdrew? Oh,
Webb
Simpson. Yeah.
Simpson.
Okay, yeah.
So they all dropped by a couple points in this top range. And again, I think it has to be there because you're only talking about 70 guys. Next week is going to be really difficult because you're going to be, the favorites are going to be 5-1. So but you're more likely to win it, of course, too. So I think you can't rule them out this week because they have to be there. And if I'm looking at anybody, Simpson was my guy. So my other guys I liked in this range were Berger. I mean, how can you not like what he's been doing?
Love my burger, Nick.
Oh, I know. You've been on him for so long, and I'm late. You know what? We're still cashing tickets with him. He's top 5, top 10 every freaking week. It's amazing.
Every week.
And honestly, the one guy I have not been on at all recently, and because he's been overpriced, and I'm not saying he's not overpriced this week, is Bryson. I just think he might have a week this week, and I'm really just using that par 4 scoring metric that I was looking at before. He's right there, number 1 on tour, so I'm hoping maybe he's the other guy in the top field that's going to do well this week.
Nice. Dave, wow. G-Ran says, Xander is a chump bet. A chump bet on Xander Schauffele? I kind of like Xander this week. So, Dave, I want to throw 3 guys at you because we have questions in the YouTube chat room. Guys, get your questions in. Also, real quick, it is $2 Tuesday on Wager Talk. Marco's got an NBA pick. Marco's hitting 71% on NBA, which is pretty much insane. And he's got a bet that was normally $25, and now it's $2 Tuesday, which is the single greatest promotion in the gambling industry, $2 Tuesday. So go to Wager Talk and get your $2 Tuesday pick. I already have bought it. I already know what the pick is, but I'm not going to spoil it. But get it. It's great. Got a couple NBA games today. But Dave, Xander Schauffele was brought up, and then Kisner and Finau was brought up. I will point out that Kevin Kisner, who I normally love betting against, has finished 25th, 19th, 3rd, and 4th the last 2 weeks. Is this a sign of a golfer that's coming into really good form, or is this a guy that is getting ready to fall apart? What do you think about Kisner?
Well, I don't know about fall apart, but Kisner has never been one to maintain that good a form for extended periods, which is why he's not a top 10 player.
Yeah.
So I can see maybe a little bit of decline from him this week. Finau, I would expect to have a good tournament. I don't think he's going to win. There's no reason to just continue to rip the guy for his Sunday play, but I don't think he'll win. But I think he'll be a top 20 guy this week. Schauffele is just always in the mix. He's just not winning right now. He's had two really good runs at winning since the restart and didn't get there in either one. Probably not in his best form right now, but, he's never a terrible bet to finish top 10.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Finau and Jason Day missing the cut, like not even seeing Saturday and Sunday when DJ goes out there and shoots 30 under.
Yeah, I don't mind that for Jason Day. I don't mind that at all. He had 4 straight top 10s and just didn't hit the ball last weekend, so he got 2 days off. And that might, for a guy, when we talk about Jason Day's maladies, if you will, physically, I kind of like the idea that he got 2 extra days off. I think he'll play well this week.
Well, I was following Jason Day's shot tracker pretty hardcore because I had a bet on him. And he was -2, so he's 1 shot below the cut. And then he missed a 2-foot putt. And then he missed a 16-inch putt, which put him to -1. And then he had to swing for the fences in the par 5, and he had a quadruple bogey. So, I'm not saying he was going to compete for a top 10 or anything, but the guy missed a 2-foot putt and a 16-inch putt. That's pretty out of his element. Now, Finau, we would expect putting issues like that. It is, I've just gotten word that it is state law that we have to talk about Tiger Woods because Tiger is playing. So I will say it was interesting Saturday and Sunday. Tiger was paired up against Rory, and you could have taken Tiger at plus money, I believe, both days in those round matchups. And Rory was awful, and Tiger was pretty good, which I did not expect on the weekends. Nick, is there anything we can take away from Tiger Woods' really good weekend performance that got him into 58th place? Nick, Tiger Woods.
All I can say about that is that, I really enjoyed the pictures of him and Rory having a post-round burger together. And so it appears that they're good friends, after the tournament, which I don't think we would have ever seen Tiger back in his heyday having lunch after the round.
Never.
I don't know what that means, but I did note that in my head. Listen, Tiger has been the same guy all these tournaments since the restart, and obviously for quite a while. He plays well enough to make a cut, and he plays early on the weekends. This week, no cut, all 4 rounds. Maybe it's a little different. I honestly don't think we're going to see him to defend his Tour Championship next year. I think he's going to, or next week. I think he does better in these limited fields. But what'd you say he's at 56, 57, somewhere in the neighborhood?
He finished 58th last week.
And he's in that same neighborhood, I think, for the Cup. He's got to play his way in big time here. I don't know if he's going to get there. I just don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to get to with the field as good as it is and as good as everybody else is playing. Calling it now, I don't think he's going to get to defend his title next week.
I think Tiger will be a top 20 guy this week.
Okay.
Wow, really?
Well, it's top 20.
Okay.
It's like, I don't think anybody's going to go, geez, they finished 17th. Wow. But I think he could come in that range.
Okay.
So what are you going to get? You're going to get like
probably won't get him in either. I would think. I think he's got to be top 5 to make it to the.
Yeah, but I think he'll make a run at it. I just don't know that he can get there. But a top 20 bet on Tiger would be what, about 5-1, somewhere in that range?
Let me tell you.
No. Top 10. What would top 10 be? Let's see, 35. About 7-1, top 5.
Yep, 350 on the top 10.
Yeah. I might take a shot with that.
Interesting. Wow. Some Tiger love. I don't want to say Tiger love.
I like the idea. Here's why. I like the idea of his playing a second straight week.
Yeah, he hasn't done that.
I think for him, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets a little more of the muscle memory kicks in. Because, you're playing once every 3 or 4 weeks. Man, I mean, that's just tough, even for the best player ever. But coming off, it wasn't a disaster last week. He made the cut.
No, it wasn't
he got 4 rounds in.
Sunday was really good.
Yeah, he played well on Sunday. I think he's going to play well this week.
Okay. G-Ren's Andy, who's your mid-range favorite bet? I leave the outright winners to Dave and Nick. They're a lot better at that than I am. I stick to the head-to-head matchups. I got to say, mid-range, it's Harris English at 35-1.
I'll go deeper if you're looking for. Because I don't know, is that really mid-range? I'll go to Horschel. I think Horschel had to bounce last week. That was a tough loss. Tough loss the week before. And I expected him to play poorly last week, and he did. But Horschel's been in good form, and I think he can get right back to that good form. So I think Horschel is someone who's got a good chance to be on the leaderboard someplace this week. And you'll get some decent plus money on a top 10 there.
Yeah. Nick, let's just keep going with mid-range guys. Let's talk about guys that are, let's call it 70-1 or less. We're looking at bums. I mean, guys like Gary Woodland the last 3 weeks. You got your Russell Henley, a couple of top 10 finishes in a row.
Yeah, see, that's the intent. Henley goes back into that group like I was talking about with Kisner.
Yeah.
Good players, but asking them to go top 10 3 weeks in a row, they just don't. They just don't do that. They're not top 10 guys, and that's a reach for a guy who's not a top 10 guy to get 3 top 10s in a row. In fact, not even a top 20 guy to get 3 top 10s in a row. I think that's asking a lot.
Yep.
Okay, Nick. Anybody else in that price range you're looking at? Maybe even if it's just head-to-head matchups, first rounds, anything like that. Guys, you're focusing on a little bit.
So speaking of pricing here, I've noticed from when I wrote up my notes for the show last night and so many guys, like Harris English, you mentioned already. I said him last night, he was 45-1 at DraftKings. He's 35-1 now. Wolf was 50-1. He's 45-1. I mean, it's not big swings, but it's enough to go, kind of, that stinks. The one guy that I think just by the pure numbers of him that we really haven't been talking about a lot, but he's in the good, statistical categories for a lot of things is Neiman. He's 175-1. I mean, it's way down there. His 9-1 for a top 10, 22-1 for a top 5. I mean, 22-1 for a top 5 is pretty good. Now, the reason I like him, I don't understand the price on him, first of all. His numbers are he's number 23 on tour, shots gained tee to green, and number 9 in approach. So you're talking about a guy that's up there in the rankings, but he's not getting any love in the market. I don't think he's playing particularly
horribly.
Yeah,
I do. I'll disagree with that.
So I don't know.
I disagree with you on Neiman. I mean, he's capable of playing great golf, but his form stinks.
Yeah,
I mean, it does. Miscut 42nd, miscut 52nd, miscut 31st, 63rd. He hasn't been. I mean, he's been getting done early.
Fair.
He's rested.
He's guaranteed 4 rounds, and anything can happen when you're in that mid-range.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You're in that mid-range, and you're not really playing for much on Saturday, Sunday. That's where you can get these guys that come up and get that top 20 or get that top 10 out of nowhere. So
yeah, for sure. That's Jim Herman syndrome.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yep.
But to me, I still like to see at least something.
Fair.
So you look at a Cameron Smith. Now he's got nothing that stands out. I mean, it's not like he's been sensational, but he's been pretty steady, and he did play reasonably well in Boston. So you got that. So I gave him a chance to have a decent tournament. And the other Cameron Champ, who he's inconsistent as hell, but he missed the cut last week. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes up with a good effort here, and he might be a guy who can shorten this course a little bit with his length. So if he's hitting irons well, he could make some noise.
I'm with you on Cameron Champ, Dave, for sure. I think this is one of those courses where he's either going to be miscut or top 20.
Yeah.
Well, obviously not miscut, but he's going to be like really, really horrible, or he's going to be good because his length is. I've watched him play in person several times, and he swings like. It is so aggressive. It's almost like Bryson before Bryson started swinging like he did. And I've said he swings so hard he just doesn't know where the ball is going to land. And if it lands in the fairway, he's going to be really good. It was just an off week for him. I would totally go back on, especially he's 7,500 in DraftKings for you daily DraftKings players. I think 7,500 for a guy like Champ has incredible upside. I love that guy. In daily fantasy, just because of the points he gets for his driving yards. I want to. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm sorry. I want to throw a rebuttal on Champ for you for this one. I don't like Champ this week. He's 100. He's second on tour in driving distance, 165th in accuracy, 63rd in greens and regulation, and the problem with that, 173rd in up and downs. So if you're not hitting greens. And he can't get up and down, and he got 4-inch rough, and he's not hitting fairways. I mean, yes, he could get hot. He could hit the fairways. If he's hitting the fairways, he's going to have an advantage because he's hitting, 2 clubs shorter than the next guy. But I don't know. I'm too nervous of him not being in play. I think the fairways are going to be important this week, and anybody that's spraying a little bit off the tee, we've seen it in some of these tournaments where they're not advancing it to the green. They're chopping it up there, maybe 20, 30, 50 yards short. And then they have to do that around the green short game, 173rd. I don't see a lot of up and downs if he's not hitting those greens. So that's the reason for me.
I told you, Nick, he doesn't know where the ball's going to land.
He could get hot. He could get hot. It's gone. But I'm going to avoid him this week.
Yeah. Dave, any other sleepers? It's tough when you got like
it's a 70 guy. It's actually less than that. What is it? 69 guy field now. The Simpson pulled out.
Yeah.
I mean, how deep are you going to go?
Whoever's ranked 71st.
I guess the worst guy in the field would probably be, I guess Carlos Ortiz is probably he's the longest shot.
Nope, Jim Herman.
Jim Herman.
Oh, yeah, that's Jim Herman.
The guy that totally screwed you guys a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I hate him. I mean, those guys, Hogue got a
Hoagie, the big Hoagie, the big sandwich.
It's just, I don't, if one of those guys comes up and, Henry, if Higgs goes wild, he had a good tournament in Boston, actually. Maybe if he carries it over. But I'm never on those guys. Never. There's a reason I almost never play triple digits. And triple digits almost never win. And if they do, you didn't have them anyway.
Nobody had Herman, right? You said
nobody. I don't know anybody who had a ticket on Herman. So they're in the field, but they're the guys who are probably going to be playing at 8:00 on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I have one guy I'll throw out there that I'm avoiding this week, and that's Woodland. He is Woodland.
Oh, he's not playing well.
Yeah, he's not playing well, and I go back to my par 4 scoring. I don't know why. I just feel like that's going to be important this week, and he's number 6 on tour in par 5s. Expected, right? He bombs the ball. But he's got one of the biggest disparities. He falls all the way to 67th on tour in par 4 scoring. He's only -2 cumulative for the season. So he's a guy that he doesn't do well in par 4. So I say that. Of course, he's won a U.S. Open, which I think this is.
Well, I know, but here's the thing. Everybody talked about, the new body of Bryson DeChambeau. And, with good reason. He played some great golf.
Woodland went the other way, right?
That's exactly right. He went the other way. He dropped like 25, 30 pounds. Might want to put the weight back on. Just saying. Hit the Freddy Steak Burgers, buddy, because you're not playing as well. The thinner Gary Woodland is not playing as well as the slightly chunkier Gary Woodland.
Maybe he had doctor's orders or something. Maybe it's a health issue.
He talked about it. He said he thought that he wanted to get in better shape. He probably is in better shape, but it's not helping his golf game.
True.
I've always wondered why, if you're doing really well,
why change something?
What do you want to mess with it for?
I agree. Jonathan wants to know, Taylor, we have to say it correctly here. So Taylor Gooch. Nick, what do you think about the Gooch? Taylor Gooch.
I don't think
he's improved 3 straight tournaments, missed cut 18th. He's gotten better.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't think much about him. I'm not looking at him. Other than that, I mean, honestly, that's all I can really say. I haven't looked at him in any weeks recently. I'm not looking at him again this week. I don't have any notes or data on him just because I haven't looked at him. So that's all I can really say on it.
Matthew asked a really good question. Dave, I'm going to throw this to you. This is a fundamental betting question. When doing outrights, are you taking a percent and splitting it amongst multiple guys, or firing a full bullet on each guys?
I split it up.
Okay, so Dave, talk me through your bets. This is important. A lot of people don't know how you guys do your outright winners. So
all right, for myself, I take one unit each week, and I'll split it among as many players as I want to play. The most I've ever played is 5.
Yeah.
It's normally 2 or 3. This week it's 2. And by the way, I didn't put a package up at Wager Talk. If you I'm just not going to bother. If you're on my all access, you'll get those 2 plays. They're both 2% plays, so nothing big. But no, that's for me. It's one betting unit split among however many guys I'm playing. I don't go crazy with this stuff.
Nick, how do you do your betting units? Because I feel like the 3 of us do it all a little bit differently. So Nick, how do you split up your percentage for the weeks?
Yeah, I'll do this. I'll do it similar to Dave. I usually do 4 or 5 guys, and I aim. I mean, most of the time I'm not under. We talked about the 20-1 price. Most of the time I might have one single guy that's under 20-1, but most of them I'm falling in that 30, 40, 50 range. That's where, all it takes. Dave mentioned it. On Morikawa when we both won back at the workday. He was 35, something like that, to 1 at that point. You win one of those. You lost 4 of them, but you netted 30-1 on his ticket. Now you're covered for, even if you bet 5 times, you're covered for the next 6 weeks without a worry. So you don't hit them often. You can't bet a lot. You're going to quickly go through your bankroll if you're betting a big percentage of it on these things, because you can go 10 weeks without a winner. And it's
easy.
Yeah, longer. Yeah, it's going to happen. So
especially if you get, it's just the way it is. I had, I think, 3 tournaments in a row where I had a piece of the lead or the lead in the final round and didn't get any of them.
Yep.
And that's, that loss a couple weeks ago with Kim really hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at 40-1. He's 2 strokes clear of everybody going in, and that's one way you got to. I'm a 6-5 favorite, and those are the ones you're supposed to win.
And then I had Horschel that same week, who overtook him, and then had to lead the entire day until frickin' Herman.
You guys got Jim Herman. Yeah, you guys got Herman. Me personally, I do it different. I do way less bets. I will have maybe 3 or 4 head-to-head matchups, and I'm aggressive with the amount of my bankroll that I bet per bet. It's not uncommon for me to throw 5 to 7% of my head-to-head matchups because I'm not betting as many bets. I'll do this with my NASCAR bets as well as my golf. Any bets that I put out, you can rest assured I have my own money on it. So when you get Dave's bets and you get Nick's bets, I love the difference in the types of bets that the 3 of us do. I think it's really important, and I love doing a show with guys that we all learn from each other and we get different bets. So good stuff. The Kim loss was tough. Yes, John. Yes, you're right. That Kim loss was tough. My heart hurt for you guys when I saw.
Well, it was actually worse for Nick because I knew I was dead after the 6th hole.
Yeah.
When he took the driver out and hit the ball into the next county, and took the 2-stroke penalty, it's like, see ya. It was worse if you had Horschel because it really looked like he was going to win the tournament.
He was in the lead until 16, so I had it all until 16.
And the guy who's contending is Jim Herman.
Yeah, I know. Who?
I mean, who?
Okay, I have a philosophical question I need to ask you guys. But first, I want to go over what you guys are working on right now. Nick, God, man, you're the soccer god. You and Carmine, man, 2 of the best in the business. Talk about what you're doing with soccer right now.
Yeah, soccer. I'm excited. We got 2 weeks still to go, but then the Premier League, the La Liga, all the major European leagues start coming back. So right now, it's Champions League just ended. Had a great run through the 3 weeks of that tournament.
You crushed it. Not a great run. You crushed it.
22-7 for the run. Absolutely it's fantastic. So that was fun, of course. Right now it's MLS. I got 2 plays going tonight. And that, MLS, I do a little bit of Liga MX, which is Mexico's league. And that's really the 2 soccer leagues that are going to get me through until the European leagues come back. France did start, so a little bit dabbling in that for the couple of weeks. But it's a little bit of a quieter time, but it's only 2 weeks. Now's the time to kind of look ahead and start making the whatever adjustments I need and plans for who's going to be the teams next year to bet on early before the markets catch up to them.
Nice. And Dave, you're knee deep in baseball and hockey, yes?
Yeah. Wish there was a way to play this. Would be my strongest soccer bet ever on how long it would take me to fall asleep watching the game.
Wait a minute.
I know it's a beautiful game. I can't watch it.
You can watch baseball or golf, but not soccer. Wait a minute.
I've tried and I give up. Okay, I give up.
Here's my defense. I'll say about soccer. It's like hockey. It's like hockey. The fact that there's always movement. There's 45 minutes straight of play. Yeah, there might not be a lot of scoring, but there is action nonstop for 45 straight minutes.
Listen, I'd like the best, the ultimate broadcast for soccer would be if the announcer actually said what was on his mind, which is, holy shit, there was almost a shot on goal. I get in terrible arguments with people who say, oh, it's a beautiful game and billions of people watch it. I know. Guess what else? Billions of people eat McDonald's hamburgers and they suck. Okay, they're just not good. There's so many better burgers out there. But again, I'm only making fun of it because I like to make fun of stuff.
No, I don't take any offense. It's all good.
No.
Whatever we do have up, right? It doesn't matter as long as we can make money on something. We're all.
Oh, hell yeah! Oh, listen. Oh, wait a minute. I do bet it.
Oh, okay. All right. Even
better. Mean, if I get a good bet, I don't know anything about UFC either, but when I get if the Greek's on something or Kyle Anthony's on something, hell yeah, I'm going to bet it because it's probably going to win. My stuff, the stuff I actually handicap is just this. It's more limited. The main focus is the NHL and Major League Baseball right now, and I guess it'll be college football and the NFL shortly. Keeping the fingers, toes, and eyes crossed on that. I have my doubts as to whether college football will complete a full season or not, but we'll see. And I do have 76 teams power rated, so I'm ready to go. No FCS though. I'm not. I don't do the FCS. So the game this week. No, some people do. I know mid-major Matt loves the FCS and he's good at it. But I don't do that, so I won't have anything on that game that's coming up.
Well, Dave just ripped soccer, so I'll go to another sport I'm sure Dave doesn't like. NASCAR is going great.
Oh, no, I love NASCAR.
I'm sure Dave's real.
I do. I'm not a NASCAR capper, but I actually enjoy the sport because
and your boy won
part of what I like about it is that they take you into the car, they take you into the pits, and I like to see the behind-the-scenes stuff. Well, to me, is really interesting, and I do enjoy NASCAR very much.
NASCAR is one of the – I knock NASCAR all the time. They're so goofy. They're so hilarious. This is one of the top 3 winners of the COVID.
Their ratings are way up.
They have embraced it. They have done a great job. I have to tip my cap to NASCAR.
And I have to say something.
Business.
And I'm not. You can take this for what it's worth, but we saw a lot of backlash from NASCAR fans. I'm never going to watch again. And we saw a lot of backlash from baseball fans because there were some knees taken, and the ratings for both those sports have gone way up. Yeah. So I guess the boycott, I'm boycotting. That movement didn't take off very well.
No, but I just love that NASCAR embraced and said, hey, this is a sport we can do without fans. We don't need the fans. We're going to make the sport happen. I mean, they're running back-to-back races, which is great for the gambling world, for me and Rocky and Steve Merrill for Life in the Fast Lane. You guys mentioned UFC. We had a killer show on Saturday. I mean, killer. We hit a 6-1, a 2-1.
Nice.
I think we were 4-1 on live bets on the show. We do have a name for the show. It's called Takedown Live now, and I will have UFC picks up now. Johnny has finally convinced me to do UFC packages, so we'll do that. We will be live every Saturday and every Wednesday when there's a live UFC event. And then my golf package is already up. I called it mistakes were made last week, not this week, because I overthought some of the bets. I want to get to a philosophical question. This should be fun for everybody. Dave and Nick. So here's what happened.
God, Messi to leave Barcelona. Oh, God, no.
Round one started on Thursday, and it's one of those tournaments where it's obvious your bets aren't going well, the scores aren't going well, your fantasy lineups aren't going well, DraftKings is not going well. And somebody, one of my golf friends, he texted me and he said, we're going to lose this week, guys. And we all said, why? And he said, because I doubled what I normally bet on golf this week because we've been on fire, which is the kiss of death. Nick, we lost. Do you believe in the kiss of death that he, my friend, one person upped his bets dramatically without telling us? Do you believe that is why we went 2-3 this week?
He's a mush. No, see, that only works when he tells you he did it. If you didn't know, like if he tells you ahead of time, then you got somebody, you mushed me, you mushed us for this week. So no, I don't think so. I think it was just it was bound to happen eventually. We were running too good for too long. So that's the ebb and flows of the game, right?
Dave, do you believe in curses?
No, there's no such thing. No, there isn't. I have fun. I have fun with it, but there's no such thing.
Right.
Okay. But the serious part of that is you don't double up your bets. That's stupid money management. It just is. It's stupid money management. And those guys, I'm sorry, those guys, they're losers. That part I do, they are. They're losers. Guys who don't know how to manage. Look, you have to take your bankroll and treat it like a business. If you're not treating it like a business, you are going to be a loser. If you are treating it like a business and playing percentage of bankroll and staying with it, you'll be in action for your entire life, and you've got a much better chance of winning.
Yep.
Yeah. So I pondered this, and then we ended up going 2 and 3, and every bet was done by Friday, by the way. And so I did come to this conclusion. I hope this helps people watching. So what happened? Like, why do people increase their bankroll or increase why they're betting a certain amount? I think it's because if you're on a hot streak, I'm 10-1. This is easy. I'm on fire. And so now it's time to really double up the bets. Well, guess what doesn't last long in betting? Well,
here's the thing though. Here's the weird part. Most bettors actually don't take that approach. It's the most disastrous approach in betting. It's why a lot of bettors go broke. They increase their bets when they're losing. It's like, well, I'm due to win, and they want to get it all back. They want to get it all back. I can't tell you how many bettors and believe me, I was on the other side of the counter for a long time, and betting habits haven't changed. I had a lot of guys who, if they were up on Sunday afternoon, they wouldn't bet on Monday. It's like, well, I'm taking the profits. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. If you like the game on Monday, you should be playing it. If you don't like the game, then don't play it.
Yeah.
But the guys who lost on Sunday, they were the reason I bought expensive cars every 2 years. Because they come in fired on Monday, and they want to get it all back. And that's chasing. There is nothing worse than chasing. Those are the guys.
It's just like investing in the stock market, right? As your bankroll grows or your stock investment grows, every time 2% of your
listen, if you
year, that 2% was worth more than the year prior. So
if you start off with a $1,000 bankroll, and you have a good year and you double it, your 3% bet, which was $30, is now $60.
Yeah, correct.
That's how you build a bankroll. Okay, it doesn't, and you can't do it in one fell swoop. It's just something you have to accept. There's going to be a grind. You just stay disciplined, and you'll be all right.
If you only bet a percentage of your bankroll, you could never go broke.
Yes, you're right.
That's right.
100%. All right, guys, we are up against the clock. All right, that is Nick Borrman. Follow him on Wager Talk. Incredible soccer stuff, incredible golf stuff. That's Dave Cokin, the one, the only legend, NHL, baseball. I mean, pretty much everything. My golf package is already up. I'm going to have to replace the Webb Simpson and Rory McIlroy bet. But my golf package is already up. Nick, when is your golf package up? You guys?
Tonight.
Okay, it'll be tonight. And Dave,
I'm not posting a package. It's only for my all access guys. So if you have a subscription, you'll get the two outrights I made this week, and they're just 2% plays. So we'll have some fun with it. And otherwise, but I'm not putting up a separate package because I don't love anybody this week, and also I don't want to charge for something that I'm not all that wild about myself. So.
Well, there's a reason why he's the best in the business. Guys, if you like Tea Time, the show, please hit that like button. Just give us a few likes. It takes a couple seconds on your part. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're up against the clock. Nick, thank you. Dave, thank you. Good luck, everyone. We hope everyone makes a lot of money. We're looking for a really good rebound week on Tea Time. And we'll see everyone next week. We're wrapping up the PGA season, getting ready for the next one to start. Got a couple majors coming up. And we'll see you next week on Tea Time. Good luck, everyone.